Good morning. I'm Matthew Johnson, Senior Minister of the Unitarian Universalist Church in Rockford, Illinois. Whether you are joining us live at 10 Central on April 19th or later, welcome. Whether you are a member or friend of the Unitarian Universalist Church in Rockford or a member or friend of another Unitarian Universalist congregation who's found your way here because you need worship today, welcome. Whether you are frightened, grieving, determined, curious, sad, or furious, welcome. Whoever you are and whatever brings you here, welcome. As we get started, some introductions and some notes about what we're doing. We're coming to you from the sanctuary here at the church. The church is not the building, it is the people, and yet this place holds so much power and meaning, so we are here. Because of all the years of worship and memory and love in this hall, we are here. With me today is Tim Anderson, my colleague in worship and the music director at the church, and Lindsay Dunn, our director of religious education, who's off screen and will tell the story in a little bit. Autumn Powell, our office manager, is in the back of the hall running technology for us. Our worship associate, Peggy Menz, has pre-recorded her testimony, which you will hear later in the service. And Chris Ainsworth, our membership coordinator, is at home, but will chime in on the Facebook feed. If you're watching us on Facebook, you see a comment area. We invite you to comment, be present with us, do be thoughtful about what you post. Remember, it is a public forum. If you would prefer not to be distracted by comments, you can hover over the video and click on the little icon of a speech balloon with a line through it, and that'll enter you into what's called quiet mode. Or if you're on a tablet or a phone, you swipe right, and those comments will go away. Swipe left to bring them back. It's great for folks to check in, say they're here so you can see each other. We're going to try a Zoom coffee hour after service today for the first time. We'll talk more about that when we get to the offering about how that works, and there's information in your newsletter about how to join. We're mostly going to follow our regular format as we have been doing. And indeed, this week, as we celebrate Earth Day and talk about the earth and the sacredness of the earth, you're going to hear some very familiar hymns and readings today. And part of the reason for that is that the familiar and the well-loved helps ground us and recenter us in times of stress and trouble. So it will be familiar and well-loved things you will hear today. I hope that serves your spirit as it serves mine. So, we'll ring the bell. And we'll begin to worship together. Tim is going to play and sing, and wherever you are, sing along. Morning has broken.
Morning has broken like the first morning. Blackbird has spoken like the first bird. Praise for the singing, praise for the morning, praise for them springing fresh from the word. Sweet the rain's new fall, sunlit from heaven, like the first dew fall on the first grass. Praise for the sweetness of the wet garden, sprung in completeness where God's feet pass. Mine is the sunlight, mine is the morning, born of the one light Eden saw play. Praise with elation, praise every morning, God's recreation of the new day.
We'll keep singing this morning with our hymn for April as we reflect on Divinity. We're singing Name Unnamed. This week we'll sing the first and second verse of Name Unnamed. We'll put the words up on the screen and sing along with Tim.
Unnamed, hidden and shown, knowing and known, Gloria, beautifully moving, ceaselessly forming, growing, emerging with awesome delight, maker of rainbows, glowing with color, arching in wonder, energy flowing in darkness and light. Name unnamed, hidden and shown, knowing and known, Gloria, spinner of chaos, pulling and twisting, freeing the fibers of pattern and form, weaver of stories, famed or unspoken, tangled or broken, shaping a tapestry vivid and warm. Name unnamed, hidden and shown, knowing and known, Gloria.
So glad that you are here with us for worship. If today is your first time being with us for worship, we're especially happy to have you joining us online this morning. We do take a moment to like our Facebook page as a way to stay in touch, and we've got a visitor form you can fill out online. We'll post that in the comments on the feed, or go to uurockford.org and click on newsletter sign up and share your information so we can be in touch. And we look forward to being connected with you. We're planning more and more programs online for people to connect with each other and hope that you will join them. The flaming chalice is the symbol of our faith, a beacon of truth, a fire for justice, and a warmth for the soul. Emerson is our virtual chalice lighter this morning, and we hope that you and your family are well, Emerson, and all of our families are well. Blessings to all of you as you worship and be together. Lindsay will light our chalice here at the church, and we'll speak together the covenant of the church. Love is the spirit of this church, and reason is its guide. To dwell together in peace, to seek the truth and freedom, and to serve human need. This is our covenant. Now we'll sing together our chalice response song.
May love shine forth through us today. May light of reason guide our way. May beauty, truth, and joy become a flame that burns in everyone.
We come to worship together, and we are apart but connected across time and space with one another, and I am holding you all in my thoughts and my prayers. And I know that this is hard. We are moving, I think, from the adjusting and the denial to the accepting and the grief. The sorrow, the rage may be with you, and I invite you to breathe and know that you are loved and not alone. As we gather each week together for worship, we are saying the names of those in our church family members and friends of the church who have died and who we are waiting to do their memorial service. I don't know that we will wait till we can gather again in a large group. In all these cases, we may figure out ways to tell their story and honor their life and memory across time and space while keeping each other safe. But I am continuing to hold in my prayer and invite you to hold in your prayers and your thoughts the families of Scotty Lichtenheld, Maggie Tienemann, Frank Dyka, Verna Hayes, as well as the families of Kanwar Singh, who died a little over a week ago, a friend of the church, his wife Molly, keep in your prayers, and the family and friends of Alan Bloomfield, who died yesterday. I invite you to hold Alan's children and grandchildren in your prayers and his partner and friend Annie Hobb. Our love is with you as you grieve his loss. We gather for worship. And there's a lot going around about how we're supposed to use this stay-at-home time to be productive and do this, and, are you doing it right, and are you doing the right things, and how you're supposed to do online school, and how you're supposed to work from home and manage children and life and stress and grief, and I want to say, don't do that. Don't. As we're thinking about what it means to just be present, I come back to familiar words, the words of the poet Mary Oliver, which may speak to you today as they speak to me. You do not have to be good. You do not have to walk on your knees for 100 miles through the desert repenting. You only have to let the soft animal of your body love what it loves. Tell me about despair, yours, and I will tell you mine. Meanwhile, the world goes on. Meanwhile, the sun and the clear pebbles of the rain are moving across the landscapes, over the prairies and the deep trees, the mountains and the rivers. Meanwhile, the wild geese, high in the clean blue air, are heading home again. Whoever you are, no matter how lonely, the world offers itself to your imagination, calls to you, like the wild geese, harsh and exciting, over and over, announcing your place in the family of things. Let us worship together.
For the beauty of the earth, sing, oh sing today. Of the sky and of our birth, sing, oh sing always. Nature human and divine, all around us lies. Source of all, to thee we raise grateful hymns of praise.
Good morning. I'm Lindsay Dunn, the Director of Religious Education here at the Unitarian Universalist Church in Rockford, and I'm so happy to be with you virtually this morning. Our story this morning is And Then It's Spring by Julie Fogliano. And those of you that are living in the Midwest will particularly relate to this story, I think, especially after our unexpected snowstorm this week. First, you have brown. All around you have brown. Then there are seeds. And a wish for rain. And then it rains. And it is still brown, but a hopeful, very possible sort of brown. And is that a little green? No, it's just brown, sort of brown. Then it is a week. And you worry about those little seeds. And if maybe it was the birds, or maybe it was the bears and all that stomping, because bears can't read signs that say things like, please do not stomp here. There are seeds, and they are trying. And then it is one more week. And the brown, still brown, has a greenish hum that you can only hear if you put your ear to the ground and close your eyes. And then it is one more week. And a sunny day. And that sunny day that happens right after that rainy day, and you walk outside to check on all that brown, but the brown isn't around, and now you have green. All around you have green.
So here's where we're at. We're on the stay-at-home order. At the moment, the governor has extended it through the end of April, but we expect that it will be extended through the end of May. And we are also suspecting that we will be worshiping online only for quite some time. We don't think that it will be soon that large groups will gather again in person. But we're thinking about what happens when small groups can gather and how we can facilitate that, although some of you will be staying home, and how we reach out to you and make sure you're connected as well. We're working on that, so please do check in on the newsletter about all the events and activities that are happening, and check in on each other. One of the things that has lifted my heart is to hear from you about how you've been checking in on each other, how you've made telephone calls and found folks and stood 6 feet apart and said hello to people, showed up for birthdays with big banners and things like that. So please keep checking in on each other. Do reach out to me if you need anything. If you are a member of the church and you've been laid off or lost tip or gig income and need support in any way, let me know. I know a few of you who have lost your jobs and have found unemployment support and are other resources, but if you are in between support and need some help, let us know. Most of the staff is working from home. We come in the office occasionally to get the mail and check on things, but we've got email and phone and video conference, and we are here for you. I do encourage folks to keep up your giving to the church. If you're in the habit of giving on Sunday, when you are present, you can go to uurockford.org/donate. There are a list of funds there, and we each week invite Share the Plate funds, which we'll do in a moment, but you can also there make a donation to the regular operating fund or send in a check if you're used to writing a check in person, so that we can continue to pay our staff and keep, everyone here in good order. Each week we do take up an offering to support the work of justice and mercy in the world, and 80% of what we collect today will go to support Severson Dells. It's a beautiful place in the world, a place of healing and justice and education, and without many of their programs being able to happen on site, they would certainly need our support to keep that place healthy and well so that we can go and visit. So thank you for your generosity this morning. You can go online and you can text the number on the screen or go online to uurockford.org/donate and select Share the Plate from the list of funds. The offering will now be given and received.
When I learned that this week, good morning. When I learned that this week would be an Earth Day theme, my mind went immediately to an event that Matt and I attended the year after we moved to Olympia, Washington. This was an annual community arts-based Earth Day celebration, a unique parade known as the Procession of the Species. This is created by the community for the community, a joyous artistic pageant, embracing the languages of art, music, and dance to the inspired learning, appreciation, and protection of the natural world. The intent of the procession is to elevate the dignity of the human spirit by enhancing the cultural exchange that we have with each other and with the natural world, and to do that through imagination, creation, and sharing. The support for this event was astounding. As a newcomer, I was amazed to see how many people turned out for a parade of families and their depictions of nature. I absolutely loved the intention and the creativity that surrounded the celebration of the earth. Being new to this part of the Pacific Northwest gave me the lasting impression that this community had really embraced the world and the earth in its finest state of being. I truly miss this celebration, and in checking the information for this year's procession, I found, as with so many things, it's not being canceled, but is being postponed. Let me share what the director of this celebration said on their website, because it so deeply and emotionally spoke to me. Culturally, the procession seeks to advance greater appreciation, understanding, and protection of the natural environment. But fundamentally, what the procession truly offers through our participation is a story of who we are as a community. And like any story, the reach of its presentation resides in the beauty of how it is told. In our telling, on procession day, all who are present literally become the stage upon which the story is shared. There is no separation, whether on the sidewalks or on the streets. The acceptance of who and how we can be as an inspired society is there for all to see. Certainly, inspired acceptance has its place as we continue to formulate our collective response to the COVID-19 virus. Even so, the procession itself is not what is needed now. What is needed now is space. Space for people to absorb and dissolve agitation, to learn new behaviors and re-examine old ones, to keep an eye out for the elderly, to learn to cite and forecast who are most vulnerable, including our professional caregivers, to recognize racial backlash, and to learn how to publicly articulate what is just, to learn from our present restraints to better address the required responses for climate change that remain upon our horizon. That is a sentiment that need not be limited to this celebration in Olympia. Let us create our own compassionate response to the challenges we face and those that lie ahead.
And Peggy shared some pictures that you should be seeing now of that parade from previous years, and all of the color and the species. It will happen again. We're going to sing together. We're going to sing hymn 163 in your gray hymnal, For the Earth Forever Turning. We'll put the words up on the screen, and you can sing along with Tim at home.
For the earth forever turning, for the skies, for every sea, for our lives, for all we cherish, sing we our joyful song of peace. For the mountains, hills, and pastures, in their silent majesty, for the stars, for all the heavens, sing we our joyful song of peace. For the sun, for rain and thunder, for the seasons' harmony, for our lives, for all creation, sing we our joyful praise to thee. For the world we raise our voices, for the home that gives us birth. In our joy we sing, returning home to our blue-green hills of earth.
Two readings this morning. The first is a poem by my colleague Mark Bellatini. Mark retired a few years ago after a long career finishing in Columbus, Ohio, and he served his internship here in this church in the 1970s. It's called Earth. This is our earth. It falls through heaven like a pearl in a glass of plum wine. There are no other earths that I know of. There are no other skies that we have mapped. This is our earth. The oneness who gave birth to it remains nameless. There was no midwife then to bring us word of the birth cry. We only rejoice that it is. This is our earth. Ice caps its head, glaciers clasp its feet. Warm wind, like the breath of a lover, breathes around its breast. Mountains thrust up to the clouds, bringing joy. Storms blow across its shores, bringing fear. Silvery fish capture sunlight and bring it down into the deep, as on shore valleys spread with ripening fruit. Cities teem with the poor and disenfranchised in the shadow of golden towers. Children live and also die. Highways throb, monks sit in silence, mothers work, crickets chirp, teachers plan, engineers design, fathers write letters. People marry with and without the blessings of law. People cry. They laugh and brood and worry and wait. This is our earth. There are no other earths. Before its wonder, philosophers fall silent. Before its mystery, poets admit their words are shadow, not light. And all the great names religious teachers have left to us, Ishtar, Shinkina, Terramata, Suchness, Wakantanaka, Gaia, suddenly refuse to announce themselves. And so we too fall silent, entering the time when words end and reality begins. The second reading is an excerpt from this book, Science and the Search for God, by my colleague Gary Kowalski. Gary was my minister when I was a little kid growing up in Seattle, and he always had dogs and animals and talked about the earth, and it turned out, and that's what I knew when I was 7, and it turned out it was a lifelong passion. He wrote often about it. This is an excerpt from the end of the chapter of this book, of the chapter called Gaia and the Great Mother. Earth does not belong to us. Rather, we and all living creatures belong to the earth. But Gaia is not merely another creature. She is in an important sense our creator, the womb and matrix of all life. And this brings us inevitably to matters of theology. When he first proposed the Gaia hypothesis, says James Lovelock, he rather relished the prospect of being extricated from the pulpit like Galileo and other scientific pioneers. Instead, he was asked to deliver a sermon at the Cathedral of St. John the Divine in New York City and shunned by his academic peers. For the spiritually inclined, Gaia has been received like a new dispensation. If our planet is alive, is she sentient as well? Is the old belief in an anima mundi, or a world soul, about to be confirmed by modern research? Is Mother Earth a goddess who deserves adoration from her children? Lovelock and others distance themselves from the religious repercussions of their theory, stressing that science is not equipped to answer questions of faith. But Lovelock does allow that thinking of the earth as alive makes it seem on happy days in the right places as if the whole planet were celebrating a sacred ceremony. I have that feeling too. There are moments when I feel that I am part of a life much larger, more powerful, and more ancient than my own. I sense its presence in rocks and trees, in rivers and animals, and in the rituals of birth and sex and death. I feel deeply at home in this world and want only to preserve it forever. I invite you to enter a time of centering. Wherever you are, whenever you are, to breathe in and out. In our grief and our sorrow and our rage, in our confusion, in our doing and our being still, in our tears and our laughter, in our moments of joy and times of despair, be with us. Let us hear with our heart for the singing of birds and the crickets and the laughter of children and the blowing of the wind. Be with us. Hold us in your tender mercy that we know it's okay to be mad, to be sad, to be happy. It's okay that we are loved, that you are loved, and that you are part of something larger than you, woven and connected, held and cared for. May the Spirit of life and love be with you in this moment and in all moments. Amen.
Open your heart to the sound of the planet, her seas and her granite, the these green fields of home. Hush, you will hear she is trying to speak. You will hear she is crying. So please open your mind to the challenge before us, her air and her forests, the balance of life. Hush, let her stop our denying. We've lost something beautiful's dying. So please open your heart to the sound of the planet, her seas and her granite, these green fields of home. Hush, you will hear she is trying to speak. You will hear she is crying. So please open your hand to the work of reclaiming the sacred we're naming, the power within. Honor the ones come before us, and yes, learn to sing as a chorus. So please open your heart to the song of the planet, her seas and her granite, these green fields of home. Hush, it's to us she is trying to speak. Will we hear she is crying through me and through you?
Hush, writes Mary Gregolia in the anthem that Tim just sang, a Unitarian Universalist minister and songwriter. Hush, and you will hear her tears. Hush, and you will hear she is trying to speak. Hush, and yes, learn to sing as a chorus. Of course, we don't have a chorus here. Nobody, and I mean nobody, wants me to try and sing along with Tim loudly. I sing very quietly here in the room. But I know that at home some of you might be singing along, making a chorus across time and space. Hush, writes Mary Gregolia, listen so that you can join the chorus. Join the chorus of the earth and sing our joyful song of peace. For the sun and rain and thunder we raise our voices, for the blue-green hills of earth. That song was written by Kim Oler as part of the Earth Mass, the Missa Gaia, performed by the Paul Winter Consort at the Cathedral of St. John the Divine in 1982, and performed each year since then at the congregation. And you can listen to it online if you like. Sing praise for the earth, our blue-green hills of earth, the home that gives us life, and sing confession, too, for the wrong we have done to our mother, our home, and ourselves. Hush, listen, so you can sing the chorus. It is the same Cathedral of St. John the Divine that James Lovelock was invited to speak at after he released his groundbreaking book, Gaia, A New Look at Life on Earth. He thought that the religious world would condemn his idea and the scientific world would embrace it, but the opposite happened. Some scientists found the idea of Earth as a living being to be too much, too wild, too mystical. Some Christians, Jews, Unitarians, Buddhists, and other religious folks, on the other hand, loved it. The idea that we are all connected, part of one body, part of the earth, woven and intertwined, one chorus with the birds and the wolves and the whales and the crickets. They thought it was great. And the pagans, the indigenous people of the world, of course, they said, what the hell took you so long? We've always known this. Gaia, the Greek word for earth, is also a Greek goddess, although my children would correct me and say, no, she's a primordial, before the gods even existed. The knowledge that kids these days have of Greek mythology because of the Rick Riordan series is pretty amazing. So they tell you there was chaos and there was Gaia, the mother of all life. She gives birth, sometimes all on her own. She can do what she likes, and sometimes in consort with other deities. She gives birth to other gods and the sea and the land and plants and life. The notion that the earth is a kind of life-giving mother, a sacred power, is held around the globe. You will find in museums around the world ancient icons and figurines of earth goddesses known by so many names, some feminine, some masculine, some both, some neither. Ishtar, Shekinah, Terra Mater, Suchness, Wankantanaka, Gaia. Mark Bellatini names some of them and reminds us that before the mystery of the earth, before the wonder of it, before the mystery, these names suddenly refuse to announce themselves. And so we too fall silent, entering the time when words end and reality begins. Hush and listen. Hush and listen. Entering the time when words end and reality begins. This is our earth. This droplet in space. This marble. You know, when you experience trauma or crisis, what happens to the body? The body shuts down non-essential functions. And it pushes cortisol and adrenaline into the system to make it so you can run or fight. It gives you focus for the right in front of you crisis by blurring everything else. So that's what we did. We worked to shut down non-essential things and focus on the crisis right in front of us. But we can't do that forever. If you live in constant trauma, it wreaks havoc on your body and your soul and your mind. Those chemicals and hormones that help you get through the moment, if they stay in your system, they will cause lifelong health problems. If you have survived childhood trauma or domestic abuse or war, then you already know this. You live it. Some of you know it very well. We can't live in that state for a long time. So people are talking about reopening. Of course they are, because we think it will make the trauma go away. God, I wish that were true. I wish it was true. I wish we could just open back up and be together. But friends, it is our instruction of our faith to follow the wisdom of science. And so we know that a full reopening will just cause another spike, and then another shutdown, more trauma, more death. Intermittent, ongoing trauma that pops again and again and again, is even harder on the body and the soul than one event that we get through once. Some of you know that well. I think there will be a little bit of letting up on a few restrictions here and there, more curbside things you can do, more small offices that might open. Visit friends and family, perhaps. But large gatherings, festivals, crowded restaurants, no. In-person church with a full room, no. I wish it were otherwise. But it's going to take a while. It's going to be a while. I'm sorry. I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but it is my job to tell the truth. And we're going to be in this a while, which means We need our bodies and our minds and our souls to switch from a trauma response to a resilience response. We need to switch from running a sprint to walking in the park. I'm not even talking about running a marathon. That's the usual way that metaphor goes, switch from a sprint to marathon. We're not going to run at all. Talking about slowing way down. A resilience response. About breathing. About being grateful for life and finding beauty and finding wonder. Finding those spiritual touchstones, those moments of grace and divinity that lift our spirits and connect us to something much larger than ourselves. And there are a lot of ways to do this. I'm doing my weekly yoga practice at home with a little video at the same time as the class I used to go to every week, and exactly the same time I have to be on time for it. Some touchstone to hold me centered. Weekly worship, this right now, is a touchstone for many of you. It's not the same, but I hope it still serves to ground you. Some daily time to pray or meditate or journal, this is a time that you should be doing those things. If they work for you, start or renew a practice that might be helpful. And take a walk in the woods. Take a walk in the neighborhood. Roll around the block. Reconnect with your Earth Mother, with life, with Gaia in her many names and no name at all. Get outside. Look outside. Open the window. Especially, though, maybe if it's snowing in late April. I was writing this sermon Friday morning and it's snowing. Looking is okay. Looking is fine, too. Rest in the earth, which is our only home, of which we are part of, which we are one with, from which we come and to which we return, in which we are held and to which we are responsible as members of one community, the community of Gaia, the community of the earth. How do we move from a trauma response to a resilience response? Well, there are lots of parts of that puzzle, and we're going to be talking about them together over the next few weeks and months. But the research into trauma and healing makes very clear that connection with the earth, with the seasons, with nature, with something larger than yourself that you are yet part of, is a vital way in which to heal. And isn't that the best definition of divinity, of God, if you want to use that word? Something larger than yourself that you are yet part of. The Gaia hypothesis that the earth is greater than the sum of its parts, that the seas and the forests, the ice caps and the blue-green fields, the life that round the earth makes this our home. That all this is connected and one and interwoven, a living, breathing wonder. This idea has the potential to help us hold on and heal and get through, to become wise in this time of pandemic isolation. How? Well, nature can restore our equilibrium. When we breathe fresh air, and there's more fresh air these days with less cars on the road, when we open our hearts and eyes and ears to the world around us, it literally recalibrates our stress response and helps us not be flooded with chemicals. When we take the time to notice the earth, the way the buds on the trees get larger each day, when we see those huge flakes fall and the way that snow outlines the landscape, when we see the geese move over the landscape in the clear blue sky, we are reminded in Mary Oliver's words that whoever you are, no matter how lonely, the world offers itself to your imagination, calls to you like the wild geese, harsh and exciting, over and over, announcing your place in the family of things. That's the point I want to make as we approach the 50th anniversary of Earth Day, which is this Wednesday. This Wednesday, that the earth is our family of things. the whole of it. And we belong to the earth. We are not its rulers and not its masters. We belong to it, are part of it, part of the whole blue marble. And this is our home, sailing here with our ship's companions. Earth Day is designed to promote responsibility, ethics, and ecological thinking, and that's all good. And some of what we are learning about how to travel less and how to use less are lessons we might continue for the sake of our family of things, for this earth, after this and through this into what is next. But it is the spiritual lesson that I think we need most right now. You might feel isolated, apart, disconnected. Those are real feelings. We're feeling them. But I invite you to also remember that you are part of the earth. Go outside. Dig in the dirt, run the pavement or the trail, sit in your front yard, open your window, get out on your balcony. Just notice. Hush. And listen to the sounds. Join the chorus. Breathe with the clouds. Weep with the rain. Soften the sounds with falling snow. Rage with the thunder. Persist with the root. Hang on like the stubborn weed. Renew like the spring, which doesn't feel like it will come, and it doesn't feel like it will come, and it doesn't feel, and then it does. And then it does. This is our home. This earth. We belong to no tribe, no nation, no ideology so much as we belong to the earth. Sailing through the stars, we're all companions to each other. We are responsible to each other. The whole of life, the whole which is larger than us and yet we are part of. This is my invitation to you and to me, to all of us, as we start trying to move from a trauma response to a resilience response. Remember that you are part of something amazing, something so dynamic and beautiful and powerful, something upon which we depend for everything, something worthy of the label divine, holy, goddess, even the earth, our home, our only home. It is precious and beautiful and interconnected, and we are not visitors. This is us, part of the family of things. So slow down and notice life returning and breath. Breathe in the air and let the earth hold you and love you, for you are holy too. You are part of this goddess, this divinity. You are a small but interconnected part of it. Don't forget to breathe. As one of my favorite poets, Wendell Berry, puts it in words that we can repeat like a mantra in these times. When despair for the world grows in me, and I wake in the night at the least sound, in fear of what my life and my children's lives may be, I go and lie down where the wood drake rests in his beauty on the water, and the great heron feeds. I come into the peace of wild things, who do not tax their lives with forethought of grief. I come into the presence of still water, and I feel above me the day-blind stars, waiting with their light. For a time I rest in the grace of the world, and am free. May it be so. We're going to sing together Blue Boat Home by the Unitarian composer and songwriter and performer Peter Mayer. We'll put the words up on the screen, and you can sing along with Tim at home.
sailing all my life now. Never harbor or port have I known. The wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue boat home. Sun, my sail, and moon, my rudder, as I ply the starry sea, leaning over the edge in wonder, casting questions into the deep, drifting here with my ship's companions, all we kindred pilgrim souls, making our way by the light of the heavens in our beautiful blue boat home. I give thanks to the waves upholding me, hail the great winds urging me on, greet the infinite sea before me, sing the sky my sailor's song. I was born upon the fathoms, never harbor or port have I known. The wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue boat home.
Many of you commented that that is among your favorite songs that we sing. It is for me too. A beautiful song that reminds us of who we are and whose we are and where we are. Lindsay will extinguish our chalice here at the sanctuary, and we will be with you, some of you who might join us for a Zoom coffee hour in a few minutes. Give us a minute to get that up and running, and we'll see you there soon. We extinguish the chalice, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry with us until we are together again. The words for our benediction attributed to the Navajo who have been hit hard by this crisis, who lack the resources where they live and have is spread wildly in their lands, and so we are holding them in our thoughts and prayers. But these words which might remind us to lift our eyes and open our hearts. Beauty is before me, and beauty behind me. Above me and below me hovers the beautiful. I am surrounded by it. I am immersed in it. In my youth, I am aware of it, and in old age, I shall walk quietly the beautiful trail. In beauty, it is begun. In beauty, it is ended. We'll sing together our closing blessing, and the words will be up on your screen.
Go your way in peace, wander as you may. Blessed is the path you take, may love guide you on your way. Go our way in peace, wander as we may. Blessed is the path we take, may love guide us on our way.
Go in peace. Go in peace. Go in peace.